Thanks everyone for connecting to the webinar. And so we will have a very rich panel today with Andrea Orbinati, Serena, Stefano, Niccolò, Martina, Denisa, me, Alberto. There will be different kind of intervention, but in the meantime, we will try to highlight the main points coming out from our report that we actually available since tomorrow from our website. At the moment, so I already leave the floor to Andrea. So you can start. You did it. Great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here and to open this event. I'm in the field of sustainability and circular economy. I am associate professor in Luke Catania University, and I teach these topics. Also, I did some research in the textile industry, so I know how much is relevant the textile sector from the point of view of the circular economy. I have seen some relevant figures that are also reported in the report that can allow, I would say, to reflect a bit on the I would say the following discussion and following presentation by the other colleagues. It is important to say, first of all, that the amount of waste that is generated in the textile industry is very, very impressive. We are talking about 12.6 million tons per year of textile waste in Europe, so a very, very impressive number. And with an important, I would say, impact from the point of view, for example, of the gross domestic product. So, for example, especially in the Italian context, the impact of the textile from the point of view of the GDP is 5.1%. With also important figures, important levels of turnover. We are talking about 64 billion of euro generated, with thousands of companies and thousands of employees. But there is one point that I think it deserves to be, I would say, highlight, and that I think it will be also the point of discussion, one of the points, I would say, of the discussion of this event, that the penetration rate of the textile industry from the point of view of the circular economy is 0.3%. Consider that the worldwide level, the penetration of the circular economy worldwide is 7.2%. Okay, so we have limited, I would say, penetration rates of the circular economy. So we have even smaller penetration rate of the circular economy in the textile sector. So on the one end, we are saying that the textile industry is very, very relevant from the point of view of the circular economy aspect. On the other end, we are saying that the penetration rate of the circular economy in the textile sector is very, very limited. Okay, so there is this trade-off that in some way has to be taken and has to be deepened. And I think that this event reflects, I would say, the possibility to discuss about the several challenges and opportunities that the circular economy approach can offer to the textile sector. So I wish you a good event, and I leave the floor to the other colleagues.
Great. Thanks, Andrea, for the introduction. And at this point, I will leave the floor to Serena, which I thank her for connecting. And yeah, Serena, so what is your point of view on the textile? What is happening? What is moving? What are the relevant points probably also that can emerge from this study?
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm really happy to be here and share a little bit my perspective of almost 10 years working in this field. First of all, I also want to say that when I started working in circularity 10 years ago, it felt very isolating. Nobody was talking about it. And I think even the fact that we have more and more interest and more people talking about it is definitely a sign of strong progress. Not fast enough, as we know, and as we will see looking at the report, but definitely very interesting. I also do want to mention that from my perspective, I believe that, and I think we also have a lot of reflection on this in the webinar, also with the speakers that we have here, there is a shared opportunity to work in circularity. It's not just a matter of sustainability teams driving this agenda, but this is something that across different departments, the business need to work on. It's a required business transformation. And something that I can share a little bit, also linked to this education and maturity of the topic, is that one of the things that I'm really happy to start seeing in the industry is that the conversation is starting to be beyond recycling. There's still so much focus on material recycling, but I think also with the help of upcoming regulations, with the merging of more circular business models, we're also, especially from a pilot perspective, we're starting to see more and more conversations also switching away from the focus on materials and recycling, which was the main point initially. The other thing that I think the Circular Thread 2.0 reports shares, but I think we can also talk about it more later, is that we often hear about brands talking about a circular product, and we often forget that there's no circular product in a linear system. Collaboration is fundamental in order to advance the circular economy, and we have seen over years examples of pilots and initiatives that are siloed, but they don't really have an impact, or they don't go beyond pilot phase, because that systemic collaboration across industry is missing very often. So this is also something that I think we will see more during the webinar. And the last thing that I want to touch on, which I think it's also something that is often forgotten when it comes to circularity, and it's a bit of a spoiler of what we will see as well in the Circular Thread report, is the consumer angle of things. When we look at the linear model works because it's so consumer-centric that, of course, there's a lot of benefits for consumers to engage within that system. But one of the challenges that we have with circularity is how can we bring the consumer on board? How can we make it easy, accessible, and convenient for the customers as well? And how can we develop those new behaviors that are linked to attitudes that we know consumers have? Consumers say that they care, but then they don't action it. So how can we create a system that is simple enough for consumers to also step in? So those are some of the things that I'm excited to hear about today. And with that, and with even 1 minute to spare, actually, Francesco.
You have been super quick. Both you and Andrea super on time, so perfect.
Try to be on time here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So to both of you.